Just check I'm coming through on YouTube's. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't know how you do it. So much better. I don't know how you do it.
Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my chat. Hopefully we'll get a few more people coming in, or people will watch this later if it goes all right. I don't know why that just happened on my screen. All right. Welcome to Deboraugh, who has agreed. She's commented on the motions that I filed, specifically the screenshots, that she'd like to debate some issues. And so this isn't a stream of having a go at Deboraugh, or really to talk too much about the incident on the night. And I'm respecting Deboraugh there. I think it's your first time on a StreamYard, isn't it?
Not on a StreamYard, but it's my first time doing something like this.
Right. So welcome, Deboraugh. And I would like the comments to maintain civility. It's one thing for us to have views about Chile, but this is really to get an understanding of why Deboraugh thinks that and she'll have to correct me here, well, I called it the Cherokee Nation, but I know there's two different sides of that, but the Cherokee Nation has jurisdiction over her at the place where the incident happened. Right, Deboraugh. So I've got your motion to dismiss for want of jurisdiction, and I'm ready yours, and we'll scroll through it as you wish. So far away.
Well, I can't read it from where I'm at.
All right. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can make it.
Do you want me? Well, let me. I think I could go live. Click on you. Let me turn the volume down. Let me look at it on my tablet so I can see better.
I can zoom it in a bit more if that would help.
Okay, I can see.
Right, okay.
All right. So would you like for me to just start reading and then you interject whenever you have a question or something, or how would you like for me to do that?
Well, do we want to read it all, or do you want to summarize some bits, or?
Well, how about I just start reading, and if anyone has a question or you have a question, or if I need to pause and explain, then we can do that.
Yeah, okay. Far away.
All right. So this says defendant, and it has my name, and of course I'm pro se, moves the court for an order dismissing the above styled and number case for want of jurisdiction and authority to act in civil and criminal cases.
Hopefully that scrolled down.
And then there's the brief of me in the introduction. It says defendant is a duly enrolled member of the U.K.T Band of Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma, which is usually referenced as the UKB tribe, and a citizen of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, which is referenced as the CNO tribe. And I want to go ahead and just right out of the gate explain that. So the reason member and citizen is in quotation marks is because the U.K.T Band of Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma is a tribe that has gone through the federal process to be recognized as a federally recognized tribe in the state of Oklahoma, especially the Cherokee Nation. And then the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, which they have renamed themselves like just on a whim as the Cherokee Nation, which is not legitimate. And the reason I say that is because they have not gone through the process of the federal process of being federally recognized. And the reason that they are recognized, there's a history. This all happened between the 1930s and the 1970s. And I can explain all of that history. And probably by the time I get finished explaining everything, you would be upset with the Cherokee Nation.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because those were the first things. What's the difference between a member and a citizen?
right. So to go into detail about that, just so because we are on that subject, the U.K.T band, because they are, I don't want to use the word legitimate because that just sounds so, bad, but because they are federally recognized and accepted, they are eligible to, whenever I enroll in the U.K.T band of Cherokee Indians, then they give me a roll number. I get my own roll number. It's not from my ancestor. But whenever the Cherokee Nation, so therefore I'm a member, but when the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma gives you your ID card, it's called CDIB card, Certificate Degree of Indian Blood, whenever, which they had to change that recently, but whenever they give out that identification, we have to go through our ancestors' roll number from when there are different roles that were recognized and accepted, such as the Dawes roll and things like that, which my ancestors were on. And I do have, I am Sequoia, the inventor of the Cherokee alphabet, is my 5th great grandfather. So I'm a guess, which is how we identify ourselves in the community. We when we introduce ourselves, we say our name, and then we say I'm a guest, or so people kind of know who our family is, or our clan, or everything like that.
So, in terms of on the ground, is there dispute between your Kitoa, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, band,
Yeah.
and the others? Is there friction?
Yes, there is. And you can just say UKB, that's just easier. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, there is. So the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, this, has tried to annihilate the UKB tribe since the inception of them becoming federally recognized and going through that process. And they've actually gained power and money on the back of what the UKB did in order to get recognized. And I have the documentation to prove that as well. But that is not part of my complaint, because my complaint stands on itself. I mean, if I need to, I can certainly provide that evidence.
Right. Well, I suspect you may need to. Then we've got we know the offence for which you were charged. There's some people there's 2 guns that they confiscated, but you only had. Did you have 1 or 2 in the car?
Yes, I had two
Right.
weapons.
Okay.
I'm a single woman. I live in the country there, and I live on a dead end dirt road. And there are persons who have come to my house with not good intentions, and therefore, because it is not illegal to carry a weapon in your vehicle, I had 2 weapons in my vehicle.
Right. And now you're saying the arrest of the defendant occurred within the boundaries of the Cherokee Reservation territory. So, in terms of the 2 bands, whose territory were you on? Were you on what UKB territory would be, or the other territory?
Okay.
Or is there an overlap there of the
No,
territories as far as you're concerned?
no. Okay, so with that question, it requires some history and everything so that everyone can understand how this is confusing. So initially, we were in the eastern part of the United States of America. This was before the removal that everyone's heard of, the Trail of Tears. And before the Trail of Tears happened, there were some of us that, and I say us, I'm referring to my ancestors. Obviously, I didn't do anything back then. But some of us that came to the region, specifically Arkansas and Oklahoma, before the Trail of Tears, and we were well established. We had an established constitution, government, chiefs, and everything. We were very well established. But what people don't understand is the Cherokee Nation is not one tribe. The Cherokee Nation as a whole, I use the umbrella as a kind of like an analogy because that's the best way I know how to do it. So the Cherokee Nation is a term that is like the umbrella part of it that protects people from rain and wind. And then if you look at the stem of it, let's say that there were 3 branches coming off that stem. So we're all part of the Cherokee Nation, but there's 3 Cherokee tribes that are under that Cherokee Nation. The 3 tribes is the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, which is in the former lands where we came from. Then there's the U.K.T Band of Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma. And of course, they're just a few miles down the road from the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. And there's the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. So when someone says Cherokee Nation, it is very disrespectful for the Cherokee Nation to try to claim that name because the Cherokee Nation belongs to 3 tribes and not 1. And I think it's very egregious and bold for them to try to claim themselves as the only tribe to be able to have that, that name, so to speak.
But the UBK,
UKB.
Sorry. Oh,
Mhm.
I was reading that off the top line. It says UBK. That's the wrong way around. Okay, the UKB doesn't operate any courts, does it?
Yes, it does.
Does it? Right.
Yes, it does.
Tell me about those.
Okay, so there are only 2 ways for a federally recognized tribe to have a court. One is with the 638 compact or contract with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the other one is to go with the it's the federal CFR, certified, of course I lost my train of thought, CFR, 25 CFR. It regulates, if everyone would just Google 25 CFR, it's the Code of Federal Regulations that is titled Indians. And so, which also brings you to the word sovereign. There is no Indian tribe that's truly sovereign because they are governed by the federal government, and a truly sovereign entity would not be governed by anyone except themselves. And they can claim they're sovereign, but in all reality, if they was to change that word to self-governing, that would be more appropriate because they are self-governing, but they are governed overall by the Code of Federal Regulations of the federal government.
So you say there's a court. Where does that court sit then?
For the U.K.T Band, it sits on their land, just a few miles down the road from the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Right. And so the territory, the Cherokee Nation territory, has dual jurisdiction when in regards to geography, because both Cherokee tribes are recognized as having jurisdiction in the 14 counties or 7,000 miles that make up that area called the Cherokee Nation Indian Territory.
And isn't that an issue that wherever you are on that territory, you're in someone's jurisdiction, be it shared jurisdiction, because there's another person who shares that jurisdiction. Of course, the federal government also has some jurisdiction over that land.
Only, okay, just like the federal government has jurisdiction over all of the states, but the states also have their own jurisdiction when it comes to certain entities and aspects of jurisdiction. Therefore, the tribe is just another arm of jurisdiction. So they still have to adhere to certain state applications as well as federal.
And doesn't also the state of Oklahoma claim some jurisdiction over that land? Because if you weren't a member of the tribe, they would prosecute you.
Mm. That's not how it works necessarily.
Right.
Okay, so if you was to look at a map of the United States of America and then you look at Oklahoma, so from the history, there's treaties that determine so Indian Territory was it was not a state. And because they pushed all these Indians, these different tribes into this area, it was just called Indian Territory. And then there were certain specific areas that were designated for certain tribes. So that is where the Cherokee Nation Indian Territory, the area that's designated for Cherokee Nation, came from. It came from the treaty, which defined that area in geography. So when you have different areas of jurisdiction, you have geographical jurisdiction, you have subject matter jurisdiction, you have legal jurisdiction. There's all kinds of different things when you talk about jurisdiction. It's not just about the land. I'm not disputing the land at all. That's not part of my argument at all.
But you're in someone's jurisdiction, or you're in an area.
I'm in my jurisdiction. I'm Cherokee.
Yeah, but there you're sounding very sovereign citizen, if you know that term.
Yes, we are. We are sovereign citizens in regards to the fact that whenever like a crime is committed and it's committed by a Native American, depending on the crime, let's say it's a low-level crime, then the state has no jurisdiction over that person in criminal matters. It would go to the tribe. So they are sovereign in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so at that specific point of Earth that the alleged offence occurred, you're arguing that you're under the jurisdiction of the UKB. Now,
No.
you're not.
No, that's not
No?
my argument. No.
Right.
Yes and no, kind of. Okay. So going back to the history, there was a decision that was handed down from the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, in 2019. It's called the McGirt decision. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what this did was it stated that because Oklahoma was not or disestablished, that the state did not have that jurisdiction over that region, and the jurisdiction for the Native people would go back to the tribes, just as it was before the supposed statehood. So the first tribe to challenge that jurisdiction was the Creek Nation. So that was approved and accepted. And so the Cherokee Nation had to go through their their court process with SCOTUS, or I think it might have been just the Supreme Court of the state. I don't remember exactly how that went, but I believe it was the Murphy case. And so that gave them jurisdiction. Now that was handed down on March 11th of 2021, which was just a few weeks before this happened. So if this would have happened a few weeks prior or a month before, Oklahoma State would have had jurisdiction over me. Mm-hmm. But because it happened just a few weeks after that decision, the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma and the Unani-Kituwa Band had jurisdiction, dual jurisdiction. But I was one of the first persons, I won't say the first, of course not, but I was one of the first persons that had to go through this process. And so many attorneys and everybody, I've interviewed over 75 attorneys. They're all like, we don't know what to do. This is all new to everybody. We're just trying, we're learning just like everybody else. We're not sure about this. And of course, that doesn't help me.
But McGirt and Oklahoma,
very recent.
Yeah, ruled, and there's another Supreme Court case after that as well, fairly recently, that enlarges on McGirt and Oklahoma, but it ruled and it pertained to crimes that were in the Major Crimes Act. Now, do you consider that the
No,
crime? So you disagree with that?
no. Are you talking about the Hererta case?
No, I'm talking about the McGirt v. Oklahoma.
Okay. No, it was the McGirt was regarding jurisdiction as far as geography. It was saying that instead of the state of Oklahoma having criminal and geographical jurisdiction for that region, it went back to the tribes.
Right. And I
So
think, sorry, I think this may be off because I've got to come at it from, and I hate to use the chilly side, but you know, that side. When I'm looking at this case, and I don't consider I'm on any side, but when I'm looking at that site, I'm specifically seeing that it's relating to crimes that were were set out as under the Major Crimes Act. So my question to you is, does the offence that you're alleged to have committed, is it in that Major Crimes Act, or don't you know?
I do know. Yes, the Major Crimes Act is about, it's described as about 8 major offenses, and this is like murder, arson, egregious acts of crime. And these are handled in federal courts. They're generally not handled in tribal court or state court. So that has always been consistent. That did not change.
Right, but what I'm saying is that very decision is quite specific to crimes that were covered by the Major Crimes Act, and your crime isn't covered by the Major Crimes Act. So to actually use the case is possibly problematic for you, because that is a specific detail of that case. And we'll probably disagree on that, and there's no, for the purpose of us today, I think.
Well, no, I think the person's misinformed, because the Major Crimes Act has to do with federal.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. McGirt was a major crime. His crime was a major crime.
Oh, you're talking about him himself.
Yes, because that's
you said the major. You said the decision. I didn't know you were talking about him himself. So I personally believe that the tribes used him in order to bring this to the court, in order that they could get the jurisdiction back into the tribe. Because then after the McGirt decision was handed down, he actually went back into the court and was convicted again, and he's still in prison.
Yeah. Now, his crime, it was the state that prosecuted him, wasn't it, originally?
Originally, yes, because before McGirt, the state had jurisdiction over all persons in that region.
And isn't it a problem of your case that you're relying on or you're mentioning a case? I don't know if you mentioned it in your brief, but I saw it in the comments. Have you seen McGirt? So I had a look at.
Oh yeah, of course. It was paramount to the state of Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah, but that ruled that Oklahoma did have some jurisdiction over him.
No, that took the jurisdiction away from him, which is the reason he had to be retried in federal court, because then it was under the rule of the native and tribal rules and laws, which according to them, the laws and rules of the Native Americans, if it's an egregious crime, it's under the Major Crimes Act, which goes to the federal.
So it should have been tried federally, but it was tried by Oklahoma.
Initially.
Yeah.
Then it was turned around and tried federally, and then he was reconvicted, and he's still in prison.
Yeah. So we come back to, someone has jurisdiction over you. So
Yes, the United Kingdom has the jurisdiction over me officially.
well, the
Yes,
Cherokee.
I would be more than happy to enter into the United Kingdom court and be heard in an unbiased and official court, as opposed to the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma.
Right. Now, going back to the area in which the crime is alleged to have occurred,
Mm-hmm.
are there law enforcement officers from the UKB that enforce the law at that
Yeah.
point?
Yes.
So there's UKB officers that enforce the law,
Yes.
and they take people to the UKB court.
Yes.
And there's Cherokee Nation officers that enforce the law there, and they
Yes.
take them to the Cherokee Nation court. And there's probably also Oklahoma authorities there that, if a crime is committed there, can take it to the state court if the person is not of Indian heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
And if it's a serious crime and you're of Indian heritage, so it's under the Major Crimes Act, it would
Mm-hmm.
go federally.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So your argument isn't that there is no jurisdiction.
Correct.
Your argument is that you're in the wrong jurisdiction.
No. My argument is that the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma has not gone through the process to be officially federally accepted and recognized by the government. And I know exactly how that happened. And it's really sick when you know the details as to why this is happening.
Now, and I'll put this to you in the most. Do you expect a court within the United States to state that the Cherokee Nation is not capable of exercising judicial process in this area? Do you expect a court?
If they take their blind and put it on, and if they adhere to the federal law, then they must admit that Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma has illegal courts.
So you won't be the first person from the UKB to
No.
been prosecuted.
No.
How many other people have tried to challenge the jurisdiction of the Cherokee Reservation, Cherokee Nation?
This has been going on since around 1950.
Yeah, so my question is, how many people have challenged it and how many people have been successful in challenging it?
I don't know the total number of people. I don't know of every single case that's ever been presented to the courts regarding this. I really don't even know of anyone who's ever been in my position, because as it stands at the moment, the federal government is recognizing Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma as a tribe. Now, I want to, because you don't know the details behind it, we'll just go with that. Okay.
Right.
So that's what I'm challenging. Okay. So right now I have to, because the federal government accepts that and sees that as their truth, and until it's challenged, then we have to adhere to that. Just as with the McGirt case, here's a guy who was in prison of a heinous crime, and he challenged that the state of Oklahoma didn't have jurisdiction over him. And look what happened. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, this isn't a far stretch like people are stating. It's actually.
Yeah, but he no doubt was convicted of a major crime.
Correct.
And it was of no doubt at that point in time that that major crime couldn't be prosecuted by Oklahoma. I do. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to ask you to talk for a bit, so because I want to find the later case that followed McGirt, and I just need to look that up. So, do you want me to take you to take us to a page on your file in here that
Well,
summarizes, or I know that you see there's a lot of history here,
yes,
and
history is paramount. I mean, we can't just start out of thin air and say, hey, this is the way it is. There's a history. We have to go back to our roots in any instance. This is why whenever there were, we're a melting pot in the state of, or in the United States. And, I'm a melting pot. I'm half white and I'm European with that half. The other half, I'm not white. So, um, it's a melting pot. So my grandfather, who was Irish, he taught me all about the Irish history and how they came to America and the stories and everything and the wars they had and how the Irish integrated with the Cherokee people and things of that nature. I mean, everyone has to start somewhere. And so even with the McGirt, it goes back to a treaty, I believe, from the 1800s. So we have to start with the history.
I hear you. How much support do you have of the UKB in this? Because all we've seen is Chile de Castro highlighting your case, and no real, elders of your tribe coming in and backing you up and wanting to challenge that existence of the Cherokee Nation. Did I ask a question there, or did I leave it open?
No, it's just it's very sad. And whenever I was being interviewed by Chile, I used the example of the Stockholm syndrome because we have been dealing with this first with the non-native people who have done the things that they've done to us as a tribe throughout the centuries, and now as a group of people who believe that this entity is in fact a tribe that has gone through the process in order to be established as a legitimate and I don't even know the proper words to use. They just haven't gone through the process. Okay, there's other people and groups that want to be considered a tribe but cannot because they haven't gone through the process. So, and like I said, I know when it happened and how it happened and everything, and I'm not ready to go into that detail at this moment because it hasn't been expressed in any legal document of mine, and therefore I don't want to discuss anything that hasn't been open to the public yet. But my grandmother, full-blood Cherokee woman, Katua, she was very, very political, very staunch, very outspoken. And I guess I get it from her. I'm not sure. But when she would tell me the stories of how the Cherokee people or the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma has tried to annihilate the Katua people because they want to be powerful and they want to be, the largest tribe in the United States and all of this and that and have the most money and everything. That is not the Cherokee way, and that is not representing us as Cherokee people. That is greed, in my opinion. That is expressing a lot of greed and authority that they're abusing. And for the people who live there, they live in fear. And I'm not even joking, and I'm not even, stretching it. Whenever I called my friends and people, hey, let's do this, they're like, I'm scared I'll lose my home. I'm scared I'll lose my job. I'm scared my son will lose his job. I'm scared they'll come and arrest me. This is real. You don't know what we are going through. I was in
Well,
hiding before I got this document out. A person who works for the tribe told me my house was bugged. You guys don't even know. You
well,
don't know.
I mean, I am giving you the opportunity to tell your story, I hope, without the bluster of Chile, the distraction of Chile. But I do want to ask you one question. In terms of your legal documentation, has Chile or Bobby Laws been involved at all, or have you done it all independently? Or is that a
Um,
question you'd don't want to answer?
no, I'll answer that. Bobby Laws, it's my understanding, doesn't do anything with tribal affairs.
Hmm.
So I don't see him helping me with this at all.
Right.
Um, I
Chile?
don't know. I haven't talked to him about helping me with this. So
Right.
I
And
can't say
Chile?
anything about that.
And Chile?
Oh yeah, Chili's helped me as far as being able to the process more so than anything else because no one really I've read a lot of comments from not just your group but other groups too and other channels, and most of America have no idea what is happening in Oklahoma. Most of America has no idea what laws have been passed that have affected so many people, and the struggles that the state is enduring in order to adjust to this ruling. Um,
Now, I've
it's hard.
I have found the follow-up case, which is Oklahoma v. Castro Huerta. Are you
Oh,
aware of
okay.
that case?
Yeah, well, the Castro Huerta case is it's the last case that has been paramount for the state of Oklahoma. And what the argument there was is if a non-Indian commits a crime against an Indian in Indian territory, would that non-Indian be heard in tribal court or state court? And so SCOTUS, after reviewing everything, decided that the state would have jurisdiction, criminal jurisdiction over non-Indians that have committed a crime against an Indian on Indian territory. But the tribes wanted that jurisdiction. They wanted to um, be able to determine how a person would be prosecuted for committing a crime against one of their people. So that was a loss for the tribe in that respect.
Yeah, because Oklahoma has re-established some rights in Indian territory.
Certain rights, yes.
My understanding is that there were certain decisions reversed where Oklahoma had prosecuted non-Indians and they let them out. They've been found guilty, they're in jail, and they let them out because of McGirt, but that is no longer happening, and they've been given the right back to prosecute non-Indians. So
Right.
a jurisdiction has been affirmed, a sharing of jurisdiction of that land has been affirmed by the Supreme Court. And this is where I come back to, do you
Mm-hmm.
expect, because let's face it, if you're going to lose, you're going to subject to the criminal evidence, the evidence as to did you commit the crime. If they prove beyond doubt that you were drinking or whatever, I think it's drinking, isn't it, or under drugs, if they
No.
prove that, you've lost. Your matter of jurisdiction they're not
No,
going to care. They're not
no,
going to care. And then
no,
you're going to have to go to the
no,
Cherokee Nation Supreme Court to
no.
challenge that decision. The Cherokee Nation Supreme Court is not going to change their minds if you're found guilty of the criminal charges. Now, I'm not that depends on the evidence. So I don't know one way or the other if you're
Mhm.
guilty. I've seen the video.
Uh-huh.
I can't tell from the video if you're guilty. I don't think anyone could
I
tell
will
it.
tell you this about that video. It is altered and it's
Mhm.
obvious if you look at it.
Well,
At the beginning of the video where they are strangling me and tasing me in the head, at the beginning, my hair at the time was very long, and you can see my hair being very long in the video. In the middle of the video, you can see my hair very nice and up in the bun and with my headband on. And then at the end, my hair is long again. Now, explain to me how that's possible when I'm being beat up and tortured by two very strong men.
no, I have got. I've just
Also, I would like to point out to those doubters that say I wasn't tased. However, in the police report, it clearly states I was tased, but it's not in the video.
there.
Maybe the video really is altered, people.
There is a comment in the chat. I've lost it. That there is someone in the chat who is Cherokee and an
Okay.
attorney. Oh, it's One
Okay.
Gold, is it? One Gold. That's
Are they in
I,
Oklahoma? Are they eligible to practice in the Cherokee Nation tribal court? Ask them.
perhaps he'd answer that because I am being asked, can he come up now? It's possible that Deboraugh doesn't want that because she doesn't want the challenge of that and is uncomfortable with that, which I will
Oh, no, that's
respect.
fine. That's
So,
fine.
but if he wants to come up,
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, I know One Gold, so I know of him. Yeah. Can you type in send me an email one on the frog7272@gmail.com and I'll get you a link. I'll just type that in the chat.
Yeah, because I would
Come up.
love to have an attorney to look at my documents. Because when you look at the AG's response to my complaint or my motion, it is funny. They have absolutely nothing. And they actually misapplied a couple of things that weren't exactly the way it was.
Anyway,
So,
I'm
yeah.
just going through the process of the court though. So
Okay.
assuming they find you guilty based on the evidence, well, and whether they're biased against you or not, they still find you guilty if they're biased against you or not. So that, let's assume that happens. The unfortunate happens, and that happens. And then you go to appeal to the Supreme Court of the Cherokee Nation, and they're going to upheld that position. I think, they're not going to argue that they don't exist because your
Correct.
argument is that they don't exist
Right.
in this jurisdiction. So after that, you've got to go to, and I'm not sure which district the Oklahoma is in, but you've got to go to the courts of
Eastern.
the appeal courts, the federal appeal courts
Yes.
of the district. You've got to go through that process.
Yes.
I would suggest to you it's highly unlikely that you're going to get any of them to turn it over until you hit
Right.
the very top. How on earth are you going to get? Because it's one thing saying, I'm going to get this case heard by the Supreme Court,
Yes.
but they choose their cases. They don't take every case. They take
Correct.
I don't know. It's a very small number of cases.
Correct.
How are you going to get it there?
That is something to be seen.
Who's going to fund it?
That is something to be seen.
You don't even have a lawyer. I mean, you've got Chile. You say advising you on process, but I'm not sure how much. I mean, have you seen he's having issues with serving documents. He doesn't understand how to serve documents correctly. He calls himself a constitutional law scholar, but he isn't he remembers. He's good with remembering facts. He's good of remembering history and names of people. But I mean, from what I've gathered of him, I wouldn't want him anywhere near my legal case. I know you. When you're desperate, you'll reach out to wherever to try and get some help.
I'm not desperate.
But you're not desperate. Do you have confidence then? Do you have
Yes,
confidence?
absolutely.
So,
Yes.
so you have confidence that you're. I'm just seeing if I've had any emails come in from Juan. I haven't had any emails yet. So,
Maybe he's really not an attorney in Oklahoma with the tribal courts.
I am aware of one. I've seen him about, so I believe he does have some law knowledge. But
Okay.
you know, now delete laws. He's very much a larger than life character. I think he suffered recently with some of the filings that he's made, so his credibility is surely. Do you still have faith in what he's told you?
Well, I mean, you have no idea what he's told me. So
I know, yeah, no, but I don't need to know what he's told you. But do you have faith in what he's told you? Do you?
I
Is he
make my
possibly?
own decisions. I'm a grown woman. I'm very educated. I have a great understanding of what is going on. I've lived this history that I'm speaking of in my motion. I know exactly what I'm referring to when I make statements. I don't need anyone else necessarily to, especially someone who hasn't lived it and lives here, to know
And that's
how to tell me how to write my motion and what to put in it. Now, as far as procedure and as far as style of how to type it and things like that, yeah, I'm not an attorney. I've never done it before. And I hate it that I even have to do this. But I've been forced and thrusted into this situation. But I am not one who's going to back down. And I don't gamble unless I know I'm going to win.
I mean
That's
I I assume because you're not relying on this and the denial of this motion, you're going to rely on challenging the evidence that they provide to suggest that the crimes were committed.
Let me ask you this. Have you read the AG's response?
Well, shall we bring that up? Shall we bring that up?
Sure.
Would you like me to?
Sure.
So, bear with me 1 second. Those in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm not following the chat greatly. I think
I don't
I'll
even
look.
see the chat.
Yeah, I know, and that's probably a good idea. I mean, from my point of view, I can. It's not highly non-respectful. I think they're probably appreciating the fact that you're talking
Yeah.
about this because I think
Yeah.
you know.
I
And
can see the chat now.
all right, yeah. I mean, there'll be the frog. I need the email address again. Right, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to send this to Juan. And don't pour on me if you're not Juan.
I do. Bobby Bishop, I did not cry saying I will lose my house and job. Yeah, I lost my job because they stole my license from me unjustly and lied. But I'm not about to lose my house. But yeah, they threatened to take my house more or less. And they've threatened other people too. And they have taken people's houses. They wait till it gets almost paid off or paid off, and then they have some excuse and take it back and remodel it and turn around, sell it, and make money all over again. It's what they do.
Right, I'm just switching the screen over to the tab with that motion on. So I think it's that one.
And I also noticed a lot of your followers don't believe in innocent until proven guilty. And I just think that's really sad.
Well, personally, I think, and you know, when you first had the debate, it's suggested we have a debate. Now, I'm not sure we're having a debate or if we're having just a chat about
Yeah.
not exactly because I don't want to go into the criminal matters of the case. That's very important for me because you've got a trial coming up, and I don't want to, you know, you shouldn't talk about your case. So, but
I can discuss
you know,
what's
most
public.
people will have judged you because of your association with Chile,
Hmm.
as opposed to you, I would think.
Yes.
Now, they may think you're barking mad, but that's a different matter. Now, thinking you're barking mad is you know, that's a
I'm
judgment
not
of
mad.
someone, isn't it? You know, and
No, I'm not mad. I'm actually very sad that
Mhm.
people behave the way they do when they do that. It's very sad to me.
Right. So you wanted to talk about this, the plaintiff's objection. So where
Yeah,
do you want
and
to
I have
start?
I have it
Because
right here.
this is relatively new, isn't it? It's I think,
Yeah, it was filed on the 8th of August,
yeah,
so
and
just about a week ago.
basically hit the airways, I think, yesterday. So most people have only seen it since yesterday, probably, or maybe have seen it for the first time here. So I know
Mhm.
you said that there were two lies told in here. Can you
Yeah.
firstly tell me where they are?
Well, how about we discuss the document when we come to them? Then I'll
Right.
tell
Okay.
you.
We'll go through the document. I'm just going to flip to my email to see if Juan has emailed me, and so you start, and that's what I'm doing.
You want me to go ahead and start reading?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, so this is basically their response to my motion, and it says that. Well, I thought I had it, but I had the wrong thing. All right. Basically, they're just saying that they're responding to my motion there at the beginning, and then it says that I assert that both the Cherokee Nation government and judicial system possess no functional legal authority, and the latter therefore lacks the jurisdiction to arbitrate the defendant's case. There is no merit to the defendant's claims, which are predicated on the dubious
Can I
assertion.
hang on?
Yeah,
Stop at that full stop. Do you
yeah,
agree with that summary?
of course not.
You don't agree. So
Of course not.
you're not suggesting that. So you're disagreeing that you've asserted that in your document.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm disagreeing that there's no merit in my claim, which are
No.
predicated
What I'm
on.
saying, do
Okay.
you disagree with their summary of, because they're basically summarizing your document into one sentence there. Yeah. She asserts that both the
Right.
Cherokee Nation government and judicial system possess no functional legal authority, and the latter therefore lacks the jurisdiction to arbitrate the defendant's case. So there's basically you're saying that the Cherokee Nation government doesn't exist. It shouldn't exist in law,
No, I'm not saying that at all.
right?
There,
So
there is, we have to have those persons who don't belong to the Eastern Band or the United Katua Band, because like the Eastern Band requires that you have at least a 1/8 blood quantum of Cherokee Indian in order to be a member. And I believe you also have to be born in the region, in the territory. And then with the United Katua Band, you have to have at least a quarter blood quantum of Cherokee Indian in order to become a person who belongs to that tribe. But the Cherokee Nation has no blood quantum. So that's why they're so huge also. But all these people
Juan, I've just picked. Sorry, I'll just interrupt you there. I've just speak to Juan. I've picked up your email. It actually went to my spam for some reason, so I'll just send you a link shortly. Okay, carry on, Deboraugh.
so all these people who belong to the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, they have to belong to something because they're Cherokee Indians. They're descendants of the Cherokee Indians who have either, you know, was on the Dawes roll or some other roll, or we've also accepted the slaves who were part of our families, our ancestral families as Cherokee citizens as well. So, though, of course, they don't have to have a blood quantum necessarily or anything like that. So that had to be removed from their constitution. But all of this has to be sorted out. And those people have to belong to something, but it has to be done appropriately. And that's my argument.
Right.
I'm not
Okay.
saying that you don't exist or you don't, I'm just saying it needs to be done appropriately. If you want to assert laws on me and other persons, you need to make sure your ducks are in a row and that you've done it appropriately.
Right. Okay. So continue with the after the full stop.
All right. So it says there is no merit to the defendant's claims, which are predicated on the dubious assertion that the Cherokee Nation has not properly established its government in accordance with the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act. The defendant's motion should be overruled and the prosecution should proceed. Now, I noticed that they mentioned the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act, but they neglected to also mention the 25 CFR, which defines how tribes also become a tribe federally recognized appropriately. Because think about this, if it was just the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act, how did all those other states have tribes that became official? Explain that one.
I mean,
So there's a big weakness in that already in their response. If that's what they're saying that I said, and that's not. I mean, that's just one itty bitty thing that I said.
okay.
Okay.
Right. So I've gone on to the next bit.
Okay. Then they start with their summary of my argument. The Cherokee Nation possesses the inherent sovereign authority to criminally prosecute individuals who violate Cherokee Nation law. The Cherokee Nation, both in its governmental and jurisdictional capacity, is operating under a valid constitution which has been passed. And then we go on to the next page.
Yeah. Sorry. There you go.
Okay. Ratified and approved. And it has a number 2 citation, which they cite a press release. If you want to go ahead and go on down.
Right. Hang on. Juan's joined us.
Oh, hi, Juan.
Are you there, Juan?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there? Do you want to interject with some things now before we continue with this?
She can go ahead and I thought I had a copy of what she's reading, but I do
Right.
not. I've read it, but I thought I had a copy. So if she wants to continue reading and we'll address the point she's making right now is basically without merit. Her subsection or subgroup, if you will, of the Cherokee Nation, it was necessary for them to go through the process she's talking about. However, it wasn't for the general or the bigger Oklahoma Cherokee Nation there because they have been recognized all along. So she's hung up on that one process, but it's not relevant to this situation. And I think she'll cover that if she's reading the plaintiff's response to her motion to dismiss.
Yeah. And where did you get to, Deboraugh?
Yeah. So, Juan, what is the process to be a federally recognized tribe?
The federal government has to recognize you. It's the fact that they have. I mean, it's if you look at it like a grandfather clause. If you know what that is, it's
I
something
do know what that is.
Okay, you do know? Did you say?
I do know what the grandfather clause is. Yes.
Okay, it that's the operation under which I speak.
Okay, so which law and where is that in what law does it say you can be grandfathered in as a tribe?
Historically, they've been recognized. So there's not a law. There's not a law. It doesn't have to be a law. If it's already recognized, well, continue to read and you'll find out when your case gets dismissed. Your premise is wrong. I understand you have an emotional involvement here.
Hang on,
no,
Juan.
Factual, Juan.
You said case dismissed. Of course, this is a criminal. We're talking about a criminal case, not a civil case. So, I mean, I
No,
assume you're
there's
like
other aspects to it. I don't think he's talking about the criminal dismiss. I think he's talking
Right.
about the aspect of what I'm trying to say as far as them not having
Okay.
criminal jurisdiction. I think he's thinking about that being dismissed.
Okay.
Well,
Right, Ron?
excuse me, I misspoke. Denied. Your motion will be
Yeah.
denied.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right. Continue reading then, Deborah.
Okay. So then the Attorney General says, in accordance with all applicable legal requirements. Now, that is 2 and 3. If you go to the bottom where those citations are, number 2 is talking about a press release where Deb Haaland is the Secretary of Interior. She did sign that Constitution, okay? But it takes more than just a signature of a Secretary of Interior. So, one, if they're grandfathered in, why would they need the signature of the Secretary of the Department of Interior?
Well, that to me, that would be grandfathering them in.
Okay, so do you know when she signed this?
No, I don't.
It says May 12, 2021. Are you
Yeah,
going to say that?
so if they're grandfathered in and this did the job, were they a tribe before 2021?
Yeah, but
To you?
it's a new constitution. They're not
No,
saying there
sir.
wasn't.
No, sir. This Constitution was voted on way before she signed it, like years.
Well,
not any-
in as much as it's just a press release, I don't know what the value would be as far it wouldn't be a law. It's a recognition.
Exactly.
It's a
Why would their
recognition.
response include a press release and not a law?
Well, excuse me. We're talking about government recognizing the nation, and
Mhm.
if here's a press release that evidently that they are and have recognized this, and they're restating it, stating it, whatever.
Mhm.
But there's
Yeah,
there's your recognition you're wanting.
My
No, it's not the recognition I'm wanting, no. Because it doesn't suffice according to the law.
Well,
reasoning,
you don't excuse me, but you don't make those determinations of what is and what is not according to law. That will be the judge.
Exactly. So let's get it before the judge.
Well, that's
The
what these
appropriate
motions.
judge.
That's what these motions are about. It's
Hang on.
the motions. These pretrial motions
oh,
are gonna determine whether or not you're gonna have a case to even proceed.
I've
No, my motions can be denied all they want. I can still proceed.
Well,
one,
yeah, that's okay. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry, Frog. Go ahead.
I'm saying I put something up there from Merb. I've highlighted his comment on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. Being recognised as a tribe by the federal government is different than having a federal government accept the tribal constitution. Yeah,
right.
He's making
Two
a
different
good
things.
distinction there, isn't he? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Merb. Right. Should I go back up to where we got
No,
to?
okay, so let's talk about number 3. It says, in regarding the status and implementation of the 1999 Constitution of the Cherokee Nation, and they cite their own Supreme Court decision. So I'm saying their Supreme Court isn't valid when in regards to criminal and civil cases. Their Supreme Court was approved to hear things like employee issues, but not criminal and civil, just disputes and things. So far we have a press release and we have something that they did themselves. Okay. Then it says, further, the Cherokee Nation maintains the inherent sovereign power of self-government to prosecute any Indian defendant accused of a crime taking place within the boundaries of the Cherokee Nation Reservation. Now, that is number 4. But did you notice that they didn't include the U.K.T band in this? Interesting.
Sorry, in which?
So number 4 says they cite the 25 USC subsection 1301, and then they go to Hogner. Okay. And then they're talking about like jurisdiction, like what we talked about before, as far as like I would say geography and stuff more so than who has criminal jurisdiction. So then, if you go back up, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I will be very interested in seeing your response to this reply. How are you going to hurdle all these obstacles?
Well, so far they have a press release and their own information. I mean, there's nothing to respond to yet.
Okay.
But the judge, I don't know. Do you want to me to go back up or continue through the?
Yeah, go ahead and go back up.
Right. I'm in the wrong. Sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. So.
There's the last sentence right before the Roman numeral 1.
Yeah.
It says, as federally recognized tribe, the Cherokee Nation has jurisdiction to adjudicate the defendant's violations of the tribe's laws, which occur on the tribal reservation. And that is number 5. And it says, Indian entities recognized by and eligible to receive services. Yeah, services and receiving services and having criminal and civil jurisdiction. I'm not sure about that. I mean, yeah, they can receive services. Lots of tribes receive services that don't have criminal and civil jurisdiction.
But the plaintiffs or the district, not district attorney, we're in an Indian court, but the plaintiffs are just showing these little numerals to documents to show that in all affairs the tribe is recognized, and across the US where a tribe is recognized, it has jurisdiction over its citizens.
My battery is about to die. Oh, hold on. I can plug it up right here. Okay. So I'm not arguing that the government hasn't recognized them. They have. I know they have. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm saying that they don't have the authority to operate criminal and civil courts.
Right. Continue.
Okay. So section 1, it says the Cherokee Nation is operating under a valid constitution, and that is arguable. The defendant makes a number of allegations regarding a legitimacy of the Cherokee Nation Constitution and by extension attacks the authority of the Cherokee Nation to prosecute. Such arguments have already been addressed and resolved by other courts in other cases. The Cherokee Nation Supreme Court found that in 1999 Constitution was properly proposed and ratified by the citizens of the Cherokee Nation, and that is number 6. Which was the citation at the bottom for number 6 is once again their own Supreme Court determined.
Deboraugh,
yeah.
You do realize that you have to rebut all of these points, don't you? You realize that? If you don't rebut these, the judge may very well deny your motion based on this response here.
He already has.
Oh, okay.
Because if he didn't, then that would mean that he would basically be telling the world that I was right, and he's not going to do that. He would, he would have to pack up and leave, and it would lose. He would ruin his reputation.
Or he's telling the world you're wrong.
In his opinion, sure.
Well, his opinion's the only one that matters.
Really?
So
the whole entire United Kituban tribe's opinion doesn't matter?
Apparently, what you have presented doesn't matter. It did not sway, was not persuasive, did not prove your point. So I guess then you're preparing for an appeal.
Well, she hasn't been convicted yet, so
it's not about my conviction.
She can appeal this order, this denial.
Yeah, I can.
Are you going to?
I'm not going to tell you my plan. I will only discuss things that have already been made public.
Okay, that's fine. I'll get it anyway when you file it.
Yes, you will.
Right. Continue.
Okay. Once again, they're quoting their own Supreme Court's ruling. Okay. Saying that they're legitimate because their Supreme Court says they are. Then it says, despite a legal requirement of constitutional approval, the Cherokee Nation, regardless, sought approval from the Department of Interior. Now, that was number 7, and it's on page 3.
Yeah, I'm there.
And number 7 says, once again, a news article about signing this Constitution. Well, if the Department of Interior was sufficient to approve a Constitution, why would they have to seek the signature of the Secretary of the Department of Interior?
I think again they're just, as Juan said, verifying the fact that in all eyes federally, the Cherokee Nation exists. And
well, the Bureau of Indian Affairs is an arm of the Department of Interior. But is that sufficient to justify that a Constitution is legitimate according to the federal government? That's my question to Juan and whoever wants to answer.
Well, time will tell. I mean, I'm not clairvoyant.
You mean you don't know?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I graduated the top law school in the country, but I didn't pass mind reading. So I can't mind read what's going to be done. I have to see what is filed. I have to see what's filed and what's pled. And so far, I've seen what's pled, and I've seen what has failed on your part. That's all I'm saying.
Asking about the requirement to approve a Constitution. That has nothing to do with anything I'm going to file or has been filed. So that answer doesn't have anything to do with what I'm asking.
Well, all we can go by is what the court documents say. And we're at the point now that the arguments you have made have been unsuccessful to this point. That's all I'm saying. Is that
all
not
we
correct?
can go by is what
was your motion to dismiss granted or denied?
Of course it was denied. We knew it was going to be denied.
Then that's where we are right now. That's all we have right now.
No, we're discussing the qualifications and requirements to be approved as a tribe. Well, that has nothing to do with what I've filed.
Well, I'm saying right now, today, as we speak, your arguments have failed in this forum.
Right. I accept that. I know that was going to happen. I'm prepared for that.
Okay, but
that is not the argument that we're discussing right now. We know it failed. We're discussing why. And you just keep harping, oh, it failed, it failed. So what? It failed. We knew it was going to.
Well, and it failed because of your arguments.
It failed because it was in the court that I was calling invalid. I mean, come on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to have a little common sense and figure out if I'm calling you a liar and you're telling the truth, you're going to call me back a liar and deny my whatever I say.
You're projecting. Right? You're projecting what
I'm not projecting. I'm giving an analogy. There's a difference between projecting and giving an analogy.
No, that's a projection. You're telling me what was in their mind based on really what's in your mind and what you
obviously think. I knew what was going to be in their mind because they did exactly as I said they would. Because it's reasoning. It's called common sense too.
Well, I knew they were going to deny it just based on the pleadings.
We all knew that they were going to deny it. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is the requirements to have them be approved through the federal government. That's the issue that we're discussing. Has nothing to do with anything I've filed.
Well, then,
but you don't know what that process is, and you won't admit it, and that's fine. Instead of using this as a learning tool for you, you're going to argue with me that my motion was denied. I mean, we all knew it was going to be denied. How many times do you want me to say it before you are happy? I want to
Well-
move on and discuss the process.
Well, I'm just saying that at this point in time, your arguments are without
Once
merit.
again,
Now,
once again,
we'll see. All you've given us so far is your opinion and speculation. So why don't we go through this response that was basically defeated your motion? I mean, that's what
that's
it boils down
exactly
to.
that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I'm asking you questions regarding this response, and you don't know the answer. And instead of saying you don't know the answer, you keep saying, "Oh, it was denied. It was denied."
But that's the facts right now.
Okay, it was denied. Now, what are the steps to get to be approved as a tribe?
Well, you go through the steps and see if you're successful.
What are the steps?
This isn't rocket surgery. This is real simple stuff.
Exactly, it is, but you can't answer the question.
Well, you're asking me to speculate. I can't speculate.
I'm asking you what the law is. That's not speculation. It's a fact. It's what every tribe has to do in order to be federally recognized. There's been, how many tribes are federally recognized, Juan? Do you know?
Well, that's irrelevant to this point.
No, I mean, I'm just asking you a question. How many tribes have gone through that process?
Well, tell me the relevance, and I'll answer questions that are relevant.
That's relevant. We're talking about tribes being through the process to be approved. How is it not relevant?
Well, does it matter the number?
Yeah, does it matter?
No, it doesn't. What matters is
that makes it irrelevant.
What matters is the process. And Juan doesn't know the process, but he's arguing the process that I submitted, which he hasn't read apparently, isn't valid. Of course, it's not going to be valid in the very court that I say is invalid. And that's just common sense.
And that's all I'm speaking to is what you've done up to this point in time.
Okay,
I'm not speculating what's going forward. I'm just saying what's happening now.
And I hate to bring us back to, we know this. I mean, if you're found not guilty on the evidence, what happens? Do you just let the process die, or do you still?
No.
Are you going to fight for the rights of the UBK? I'm going to get them wrong way round. UBK or UKB. So you still continue to, you're still going to want to argue this, but where is the support of the other members of the tribe? I come back to, you're outside court with, bless him, the constitutional law scholar Delete Laws, who maybe has been good for you in raising you some money. I don't know, but I can't see that his knowledge of legal process in an Indian court.
Let me just say this. The U.K.T band has personally sued Judge Luke Bartow.
And that's the judge who signed the denial?
Yes, sir.
And what was the outcome of that suit?
The person, so the U.K.T band was an intervener. And so the person decided to not continue. They made a contract, a deal with the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma and the other party. They were paid off, basically.
So
I don't want to say that. I shouldn't say that because I don't know the details. I just know that Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma intervened in a way that made these persons decide to not continue this to the Supreme Court, although it was on its way.
To which Supreme Court? The Supreme Court of the
United States
Supreme Court?
No. United States.
To the District Supreme Court, and there to the. That's a hell of a lot of courts to go through. But
yeah,
you're saying
they were in the 10th Circuit. They were actually in the 10th Circuit.
But if they wanted to assert their constitutional right as a tribe, why didn't they proceed? And they didn't proceed. What chance do you think you have as a pro se litigant to proceed? That's what I'm not understanding. Assuming there's any validity to your arguments, which, well, you probably know how I feel about that, but assuming there's validity, I don't see how you're going to achieve anything. How is this pro se litigant going to proceed through these steps to convince the court? Why isn't the tribe supporting her? If indeed
you don't know that the tribe isn't supporting me.
I don't know that, no.
So why would you presume that?
Well, you didn't have any support at the outside the court apart from some man who come along with a flipboard, asking for donations, and a few protesters who decided to try and disrupt proceedings. But there was no tribal representation there, as far as I could tell. And you're pro se. Surely the tribe, if they were supporting this, would be actually hiring lawyers to make the arguments for them, because lawyers are going to be the ones that can put those arguments correctly before a judge. And your chances of doing it are not great.
Let's ask Juan this question. Why is it that the United Kituban cannot hire a judge for me, Juan? I mean, not a judge, but an attorney. Why is it that the United Kituban cannot hire an attorney to represent me at this point?
What's the relevance of your question based on your case?
He just asked the question about the tribe not supporting me, and he wanted to know why the tribal attorneys haven't represented me.
I wouldn't know. I don't read minds.
There's nothing to stop a tribal attorney acting pro bono for you.
Oh, yes, there is. That is way wrong. That is not acceptable.
Explain.
Okay. So let's say that a tribe as large as the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma that has, like, let's say they have 8,000 members. Do you think that they have enough attorneys to represent 8,000 people who might get in trouble?
Yes, but this is a matter of precedent.
Doesn't matter. Why would I be special and nobody else?
Because if they truly believed that they could overturn the jurisdiction of the Cherokee Nation, they would be supportive of an individual case to take forward.
Okay, so I'm saying,
and they probably wouldn't even argue it on a criminal case. They would probably go as the tribe to say this constitution of the Cherokee Nation is unconstitutional under federal law, and try and get it overturned that way. That's how they would assert their jurisdiction if they wanted to.
Okay,
but as people keep on saying, all this over a DUI, all this over a DUI.
A DUI that wasn't true. So let me just say this to answer your question. To ask the United Kituban to represent me in this case at this time would, when I'm saying that the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma doesn't have the authority to represent me, and therefore I'm under the jurisdiction of the United Kituban. Well, I'm going to be entering into the United Kituban's court, and they're going to determine whether I'm guilty or innocent. Now, how inappropriate would it be for them to represent me in this case, and then for me to go over to their court and them just try me? I mean, come on, that's just ludicrous. You just don't do that. Juan knows what I'm talking about.
But there seems no want for that tribe to assert its jurisdictional right.
They can't. At this time, they can't. I'm not in their court. How could they?
Not over you, over all the offences where they believe that they have a jurisdictional right.
They've been
they-
in court for over 50 years. Research it. The
Yeah, so-
United Kikuyu Band
So why do you
has
think
been in court with the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma for over 50 years.
Why do you
But
think?
they're not doing it now on your behalf.
They can't. I just explained that, Juan, and I'm starting to question whether or not you're really an attorney. I mean, you should understand this.
Well, I'm starting to question a little bit about you also, ma'am.
You can question all you want. No matter what you say, you can't offend me. But you cannot answer my questions, and then you're not understanding my justification as to why the tribe can't represent me right now in the Cherokee Nation Tribal Court. That's absurd. You should be able to understand that.
You make that unsupported assertion over and over again, and no matter how many times you make it, it doesn't make it true without an authoritative support, which you lack. And another thing, you keep asking me irrelevant questions, and I don't answer irrelevant questions. We're focusing on your case right now, what we have to deal with. Anything beyond where it is right now is pure speculation on your part and would be on my part.
Okay. So, Mr. Frog, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I've asked Juan several questions. He's only parroted the same thing over and over and refused to answer any questions. I no longer wish to speak to him.
Is that okay with you, Juan?
Sure, she doesn't have to speak to me, but I think I can speak to Frog while we're here.
Is that okay?
No.
Not okay.
He doesn't want to speak to me and answer my questions, which are relevant. So, no.
Well,
you can speak in the chat. You can type stuff in the chat, but no.
Most people, soft sets or people that do wacky stuff, yeah, they don't like my truth and they run away. So that's fine.
Your version of your truth is yours and yours alone. Bye.
Right. Juan, I am gonna, because otherwise we bring this to an end.
Oh, hey, no problem. No problem.
And I suspect the chat would probably do it. Do they want us to continue? I will drop you down and I'll keep an eye on the chat. But okay. Thanks, Juan.
Works for me.
Thank you, Juan.
Right. So continue with their response to your motion to dismiss on the basis of jurisdiction.
Okay, so far all they've done was to cite some articles in their own legal opinion. So on page 3, in the second paragraph, they start talking about the OIWA. It says, finally, the defendant alleges that the Cherokee Nation government was never properly reestablished under the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act. And with that, they cite the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act. Now, for persons who aren't familiar with the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act, in 1898, there was an act called the Curtis Act, and then there's other few names that are associated with that act. And what that act essentially did was it said, and it is a law. It was a part of Congress. It was enacted, and it stated that no tribe had any authority whatsoever, could not elect a chief, did not have any rights to courts or any authority whatsoever, and that everyone was just a citizen of the United States of America. So after that point, for about 30 or 40 years, the president of the United States of America essentially appointed who they wanted to be chief. Some people were chief for a day, and they signed documentation in order for lands to be distributed amongst the, I don't know, the ritzy people, whoever they wanted to have land to, regardless if it actually owned it. And if it was tribal land, it was game. And the president of the United States of America could do whatever they wanted because of this Curtis Act. So then there was an Indian Removal Act. And what this essentially did was it gave the authority back to the tribes, but it excluded 3 states. It was Alaska, Hawaii, and the state of Oklahoma, because the state of Oklahoma was an Indian territory. So, well, it was the state of Oklahoma, but it was basically Indian territory. So they excluded that state. So then in 1936, they had to enact the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act in order to include those states and allow those tribes to have their own governing body and things of that nature. That is the reason we quote the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act, because it was like McGirt. It essentially gave us the authority to be a tribe again. Does that make sense?
You, the authority to be a tribe, or the Cherokee Nation authority to be a tribe?
I'm not talking about Cherokee Nation in particular. I'm talking about Indian tribes in the state of Oklahoma, which there are very numerous number of Indian tribes in the state of Oklahoma. So it was considered Indian territory, and there were a variety of different tribes from all over that were kind of shoved into this region. And then we were each given boundaries, like I talked about earlier. And so none of the people who were in the state of Oklahoma, those tribes, had any authority until the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act came through, and it said you had to go through a certain process, and if you went through this process and the federal government went ahead and said, yes, we approve, then you would be considered a Indian tribe again.
Right. Well, back to the document. It's a similar argument.
That is the document, though. That was number 9 of their citation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So then it says, appropriately, such courts have ruled in favor of the Cherokee Nation's inherent right to govern. And then in quotations, it says, whether the Cherokee Nation subsequently reorganized under the OIWA is not determinative. The OIWA repealed the Curtis Act, and they cite number 11. Now, this is not true. The OIWA did not repeal the Curtis Act. As much as you guys believe that my motion is full of what we say, I won't say because we're live on this, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This statement literally says what you guys think my motion says. The Curtis, I would love for someone to put in the chat right now documentation to show that the OIWA repealed the Curtis Act. Please, someone cite it right now. I'm waiting, and I will wait until you do, because it doesn't exist. But I'll wait. I'll keep waiting. In the meantime, I'll read.
Yeah, read.
Then it says, the court continued, noting a distinct lack of any federal statute or treaty conditioning the ability to create tribal courts on federal approval of the nation's constitution. What? That is number 12. And that is United Kituwa Band of Cherokee Indians versus Luke Bartow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's the case where
2020 case, yeah.
Plaintiff made a deal. Kind of like a defendant would make a plea and plea out in order to escape all the hassle of having to go through the process. The last paragraph on this page says, it is clear from the decisions in the Cherokee Nation courts, federal courts, and United States government, it is not clear that the Cherokee Nation is federally recognized Indian tribe with inherent sovereign authority to prosecute Indians for violations of the nation's criminal law committed on the Cherokee Nation reservation. Now, from everything that we have read thus far, and all of their citations thus far, has there been any legitimate evidence that the government has given them the authority to have criminal and civil court? And if you answer honestly, then you know it doesn't. They've referenced themselves.
Yeah, but you're going back to Juan's grandfather-in concept.
But he couldn't. But he never could give me anything written down where the federal government says we're going to grandfather in tribes.
But
so we can't say that exists because there's no evidence that exists.
But it does exist.
There's no such thing.
But there is.
Okay, show me.
Well, you're outside the court.
What are you talking about?
When you went to the courthouse,
where is it written in federal law that tribes can be grandfathered in and be considered accepted federal tribes.
Under the department, the Bureau of Indian Affairs
Uh-huh.
signing in the tribe is my
No.
understanding.
No.
No?
Where does it say that the Bureau of Indian Affairs can sign anything and make a tribe a tribe?
Because that was their responsibility at the time.
No, it wasn't. The
Well,
Bureau
what
of
was-
Indian Affairs was created to govern tribal affairs as a mediator between the tribal chiefs and tribal people and the federal government. A mediator. They didn't create laws. They didn't have any authority of that nature.
Okay, we'll continue.
Well, let's get beyond this, because you still believe that there's a thing called grandfathering in, and I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Well,
You're accepting this because your friend said so, but yet there's no evidence of that.
it doesn't come down to a matter of what I believe. It's a matter of what is going to happen. It's what is going to happen if
Okay.
they find you guilty. I mean, that is.
I'm not worried
not-
about that. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about being found guilty or not. And this document has nothing to do with whether I'm guilty or not. This document is about jurisdiction and if they have the right to prosecute me or not. And that's what we're discussing.
And the
If you want to
document,
discuss whether I'm guilty or not, we can go back to the scene of the crime, supposedly their crime, not mine, and we can discuss that. But that has nothing to do with this.
yeah, but the document was sufficient to convince the judge on the case that they did have jurisdiction.
Of course, because that judge would be out of job if he said that they don't.
Okay,
This
well,
is common sense.
I still don't know how on earth you think you're going to turn this over, but continue with the response.
Okay. So we can't say that they were grandfathered in because that doesn't exist and you haven't proven that it does. And until you prove that it does, we can't say that. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, we arranged this pretty quickly, so I haven't done all the background, and I'm probably not capable of doing all the background on this. I'm not capable. I would say I'm not capable. So I can't
Right.
prove to you. I can't prove to anything. All I know is what exists at the moment. And,
Right. And the grandfather clause does not exist. If it does,
well,
someone can put it in the chat, but they can't because it doesn't exist.
The Cherokee Nation exists because
Yes.
no one is, well, apart from you, and maybe others have tried this.
Yes, they have. But
But
no
got
one's ever
nowhere.
been a defendant falsely accused of a crime and forced to be in their court that's ever done this. I am the first for that.
I'm sure some defendants who are found guilty might disagree with that, but
No one's ever challenged a jurisdiction that's been found guilty. No.
right, okay. Well, you haven't yet been found guilty, so let's
Or
continue
being
anyway.
accused of a crime. No one's ever been a defendant in their court that has challenged their jurisdiction like I have. No one.
Right, and I can't prove one way or the other, so I mean, that's
I may be wrong. I don't know everything, but as far as I know, no one that has ever been, because listen, their courts are fairly recent, right? Yeah, they've had courts, but they had maybe 20 cases for the entire year until McGirt.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't believe anyone's ever been a defendant in their court that has been pro se, especially, and challenged the jurisdiction.
Okay. I'm willing to accept that. It's not really relevant, but yeah, continue.
Okay. All right. So far we haven't proved that they're accepted federally or approved federally. They've quoted themselves in some newspaper articles. All right, so if you go to page 4,
that was sufficient to defeat your motion, but
No. Okay. Once
They
again,
might, they might, they might do further and more in-depth research if they were challenged at a higher level on the issue.
okay. Well, let me ask you this. If you were the chief of a tribe, especially the largest tribe in the state of Oklahoma, and someone challenged your jurisdiction and you could prove that their challenge was invalid, don't you think that you would want your attorney general to prove that in their response?
Well, he did
And
to
just
the
just
he,
just
he,
kill
he
it
did.
just kill it right then.
Well, he did
No, it didn't. It
in
killed
his.
it in their own courts.
Okay, and that,
Of
yeah,
course. We
and
know it's going to be killed in their court. Of course, that is common sense.
well, okay, but they did enough for their court, so why
Yeah.
do more? Why
Just
do
like
more?
just like when I enter their court, they're going to find me guilty. They're not going to allow me to have a defense. They're going to find me guilty whether I'm innocent or not. They
Right.
know. The attorney general said to the judge, "We know she's guilty." She didn't even watch the video yet, and she said, "We know she's guilty," because she doesn't like Katua Band, and therefore she wants to make me an example. Any Katua who enters our court is guilty, whether they're innocent or not.
Okay, continue.
Okay. Roman numeral 2. The Cherokee Nation can
Validly.
validly exercise jurisdiction over the defendant in the instant case. It says, under established federal Indian law principles, that's required,
Hmm.
the Cherokee Nation has the authority to prosecute any Indian for crimes committed on the reservation, and that's number 13. And that is true.
Hmm.
Under these established federal rules, they do have that authority. But that's not saying they're not saying the Cherokee Nation does. It just says that those are the rules for all tribes. It is true. Then it says, following the Supreme Court's decision in McGirt versus Oklahoma and subsequent supplementary rulings from the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, the existence of the Cherokee Nation Reservation in northeastern Oklahoma has been legally confirmed. And yes, we agree with that. I'm not challenging that.
Okay.
According to the defendant's motion to dismiss, defendant Deboraugh Rodgers is a duly enrolled member in the United Katua Band of Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma, UKB, and a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. And that's number 15. They're citing my motion.
Yeah.
As such, both the tribal status of the defendant and the land status of the Cherokee Nation reservation would provide basis for adjudication by the Cherokee judicial system. What about the United Katua Band having jurisdiction? Why is that not mentioned? You guys don't find that suspect?
No, because you've already said that the Cherokee Nation exercised jurisdiction over the area in which the crime is alleged to have occurred.
I said that United Katua Band does. I said the government recognizes them because it hasn't been challenged appropriately, which is what I'm doing. So it's dual. They both have, at the moment, because the federal government recognizes them for the moment, they both have jurisdiction. But I find it egregious that they do not mention the United Katua Band, which also has jurisdiction over the Indian Territory in the Cherokee Nation.
But they don't.
And when I say Cherokee Nation, I don't mean the tribe. I mean the
don't,
Cherokee
they
Nation.
don't need
as a
to,
whole.
because where there's dual prosecutory responsibility, sometimes one will take one part of that, one member of the duo will take the case, and in this case the Cherokee Nation has taken the case against you. Now you can argue that it's unfair, it's discriminatory, they're discriminatory against my tribe. You can argue that. I'm hearing that sort of argument from you, but whether that is sufficient to take away their jurisdiction, I don't think it is. But
I'm not taking anything away from the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. I'm pointing out what they acknowledge as theirs, and it's wrong to do so. Just like McGirt when he took it to court, he said the state doesn't have jurisdiction over me, the tribe does. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing essentially. I'm saying the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma doesn't have jurisdiction over me, the UKB does.
You're trying to bring the outcome of that case, which, as we've seen, the Supreme Court has pared it back a bit now because too many people were getting released, getting lenient sentences federally.
I don't think that was the reason that they made that decision.
I think it's actually mentioned by one of the judges in it, but that's irrelevant. I mean, that's where you've got to get to with this case.
Okay.
I think I would suggest to you that you're never going to get there, but
yeah,
keep going.
But I will just say this to finish up that page. The reason I said that is because they mentioned right there that I am a member of both the United Kituwa Band and the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. So then they turn around and they talk about the jurisdiction. I think it's just egregious that they exclude the United Kituwa Band. Okay. So then it says the laws of the Cherokee Nation are similarly, I can't say that word. Sorry.
Similar.
Like I know the word, I just can't say it because my tongue.
Similarly.
Yeah. Conclusive. Regarding territorial jurisdiction, Article 2 of 1999 Cherokee Constitution provides the operative boundaries as those prescribed in the patents of 1838 and 1846, diminished only by the Treaty of July 29, 1866, and the Act of March 3rd, 1893. And that is in the Cherokee Nation Constitution, once again, their own document. These boundaries align with those confirmed following the McGirt decisions, and that is in the McGirt decision. However, once again, for over 100 years, Oklahoma thought they had jurisdiction over all tribal members on Indian territory, but they didn't. It had to be corrected. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with this situation. I am going to get it corrected. It needs to be corrected.
I'm understanding the want of yours, but I just don't think you're going to achieve it. So, but
okay.
Continue on.
Okay, and we are very early in the process too.
Mm-hmm.
The Cherokee Nation of Tribal Code further illustrates the breadth of the tribe's jurisdiction by explicitly exercising jurisdiction over disputes arising under the laws of the Constitution of the Cherokee Nation in both law and equity, whether criminal or civil in nature. And once again, they're quoting their own law, which occur in the territory of the bounds of the Cherokee country. And that's once again their own law, or Indian country. And Indian country is defined by the federal government, and it is specifically defined in their own law, which is also defined in the United Kituwa Band's law. As such, there is no valid premise which would deny the Cherokee Nation jurisdiction over the defendant in the instant case. No, that my argument said this tribe has not been approved by the federal government to have civil and criminal court over Indian tribal persons in the Cherokee Indian Territory. And I proved it. But you can see they didn't even address that because they know it's true. Number 3, the defendant previously presented this same motion orally to the court and the motion was denied. That is not true as well.
I mean, I know I spoke to you before we came live, and I query that because we know the length of your motion, and I don't believe that you presented the whole of your motion orally in court. So I probably disagree with this statement, but you possibly tried to argue the matter, but I don't think, to say it's the same motion, I doubt you presented the same information. Okay,
thank you.
So I'm not going to disagree that there may be a falsehood here or something of mistelling of the what actually occurred.
It's misrepresented.
Hmm.
We'll
Okay.
say that to
Yeah.
be nice. Okay. And then it says the instant case was set for disposition on May 19, 2022 in the District Court of the Cherokee Nation. On that date, defendant requested that she be allowed to make oral motions to the court. On that date, the defendant asserted the same motion for dismiss for want of jurisdiction and argument orally as she was asserted in her written motion to dismiss for want of jurisdiction. The Honorable T-Lick Bartow, who does have a DUI conviction, pled guilty in 2018 and neglected to tell the Cherokee Nation Council, which goes against all policies, denied all and he did have to have a device on his steering wheel for 6 months. Denied all defendants' motion on that day. The principles of res judica is applicable herein as the issue has already been decided by this very court in the same proceeding. We all know that's not true.
Yeah.
Conclusion.
Well, hang on, let me just look at the chat to see if what they're saying about that, if they disagree with me. I think they put that wrong. I think they should have put something like you made certain arguments along the lines of challenging jurisdiction, but you didn't already argue the motion that you put forward, because how the hell could you argue however many pages your motion was? I mean, it was unless that court went over, 2, 3. How long was that court date in your memory?
I believe it was 10 minutes.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, you probably just said, I believe I motioned that they don't have jurisdiction or something like that, and quoted.
No, I asked for change of venue.
Yeah.
So
okay, right. The conclusion.
And his response was, first, he said that the United Kituba Band lacks jurisdiction, and he also stated that there was no mechanism in order to transfer my case to the United Kituba Band, and that's absurd as well. So then the AG chimed in with her, yeah, we say that the United Kituba Band doesn't have jurisdiction. So with that, you can see that obviously they don't like the United Kituba Band.
Well, you could ask the United Kituba Band to prosecute you for the case.
Well, yeah, but how do I get it out of the Cherokee Nation court?
Well, you argue in 2 jurisdictions.
I just did.
No, I'm saying you present the evidence of the crime, and to suffice the UKB authorities that there's reasonable, what do they call it? Oh, I've forgotten. Reasonable articulable suspicion. No, that's a cop. Anyway, there's sufficient to prosecute you for said crime, so you could get prosecuted under both jurisdictions, and then try and argue with one, well, this is being prosecuted in this jurisdiction, and have a fight between the prosecution. But they've chosen not to prosecute you.
No, it's never been before their courts. They haven't made a decision on my case. They've never had my case.
I know.
Like I said, I asked for change of venue.
They've never chosen to exercise their jurisdiction.
It wasn't a choice.
Pardon?
How could it be a choice? It's in the court of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. And if they're not, okay, let's say, okay, so there's a thing called the Indian Child Welfare Act. ICWA, that's what it's referenced as. So let's say that we have a Cherokee Indian who's in New York.
I was just seeing some. Email me, Audit Buster. There's someone else who wants to come up.
Okay.
I think he's going to be respectful and not just insult you. So I'll put my email in the chat again. Okay. Let's see if anyone does come up. But yeah. Okay. Conclude.
Okay. So let's say that there's a child in New York, the state of New York, and they're with their aunt. And let's say the aunt gets put in prison, okay? And let's say she has guardianship. So let's say the state of New York says, what are we going to do with this child? Because they're Indian. So they have to go back to their tribe. Their tribe has jurisdiction because they're underage, no matter where they're at. The tribes have jurisdiction because of this ICWA. It's the Indian Child Welfare Act. So then they have to change jurisdiction. So let's say that there's a Cherokee. Let's say this child is Cherokee, and let's say this child is eligible to be Katua because they're more than a quarter Cherokee, but they're underage and they can't make that decision. So their parents have to make that decision whether they want their child to be Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma or if they want their child to be United Katua Band. But let's say the United Katua Band gets the notification and they're not eligible to be UKB. So then they transfer this case over to the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. But let's say that they are eligible and Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma gets the notification. They will not transfer this child over to the United Katua Band because they want the United Katua Band to be annihilated. And that is practice, common practice. And if you read the case of United Katua Band versus Luke Bartow, that is pretty much the exact same situation. It's different scenario, but kind of similar. It was regarding a child who was eligible to be United Katua Band, and the Cherokee Nation lied and did all kinds of things in order to keep that child and said, we're not going to give up the jurisdiction over this child. They're in our court.
Mm-hmm.
That's egregious.
Well, I can see the point of view from a potentially human rights point of view, but whether you can argue that under the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the tribe and coming back down, I think you're entering huge battles, and you still haven't convinced me that you have any backing to proceed with this case. And people are saying in court, and I'm not going to say you broke the law because I don't know, but they're saying quit looking for loopholes that don't exist, quit listening to grifters like Chile, which I probably agree with, take your lumps and learn. Now, my whole emphasis would probably be on trying to produce evidence to contradict the prosecution's evidence so I'm not found guilty.
There is no evidence to find me guilty.
Well, it will be presented in the criminal court.
I'm sorry?
It will be presented in the criminal court.
Oh, I have their evidence. They gave it to me in discovery.
Yeah, they will present the videos.
Yes, the altered videos. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that would be helpful actually. If you,
No,
I don't know.
Why would that be helpful?
No, it would be helpful if you put the part 1 of your video, made it back live on your channel, because part 2.
No, that was causing too many. Everyone was like all stuck on my driver's license. But if you notice, I'm not even charged with a crime regarding my driver's license.
No, I'm just saying
that wasn't a crime.
From the point of view of completeness and trying to determine if the video, others looking at the video, I think that would, in terms of this community.
Okay, so I want to ask you this, Mr. Frog. Why have you not shown the number 2 video where I'm being tortured?
I have. I put all the videos together. I put your number 2 up. I did put your number 2. Yes, I did.
I haven't seen it.
It was all on one. I put it all on one. I joined the 2 together. I joined what was available from Chile's stream, I think, together, and then joined it with the number 2 video. At the point in which they joined. So I did. Maybe you haven't gone forward to the point, but I did put it all up. Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it again. Yeah. So what is significant in that video that I need to that would make a difference?
Well, I mean, I don't know what evidence they have of you being
that video. The videos is the same thing that the AG has.
Yeah, they have the video and they'll have the legal testimony of the 2 cops.
The lies, yes. So let me ask you this, and actually I have it right here. So according to the according to the police report, I was tased.
Hmm.
Now, I want to ask your audience, how many of you in the audience saw me being tased? According to the police report, I was not strangled. How many of you in the audience heard me being strangled?
Heard is a difficult thing.
Okay, I'm saying you're choking me, I can't breathe, stop choking me.
Yeah,
And they never denied choking me.
that's a difficult thing for the audience to determine, I would say.
Well, they've made presumptions and said she's lying because I never saw her get tased, but she's claiming she was tased.
Yeah, but they'd be making some of those assumptions.
No, it's in the police report. It's in the police report that I was tased.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you slow the video down, you can see that I'm totally unconscious. When they rolled me out of the truck face down and broke my tooth where my face hit the asphalt, because I was out, totally out, because they strangled me unconscious for the third time. They did it 3 times total.
So you're saying
I
the
lost
video
8
evidence?
pounds in 3 days because I was unable to eat or drink and I had to cough to get oxygen.
I mean, I didn't want to ask you about the incident, but
Okay. I
'cause
thought you brought it up.
Sorry?
I thought you brought it up. How did we get on this subject? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Okay.
But
Oh, we were talking about the evidence that the Attorney General has,
yeah.
and they have the altered video. So
Right,
why? Okay, so they're not charging me anything with my driver's license, and the whole entire #1 video is regarding my driver's license. Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually charged by the police department 3 or 4 charges about my driver's license, which is all ludicrous. And they took my driver's license because they lied. But yet I'm not charged with that from the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma because I didn't commit a crime.
Well, they're saying that you were under the influence of something. That
Yeah.
your firearms weren't secure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of the charges now because we're 2 hours into this, Deboraugh.
Okay. All right. So those of you who think I was under the influence of something, where in the police video do you see it ever being questioned of me if I'm under the influence?
Let's see if there's any answer to that.
Oh, and then they said that I refused to get out of the truck. I was never given an option to get out of the truck. They never asked me to or told me to. They just attacked me.
I mean, I would suggest to you to consider putting part 1 up so that because it's been you're not going to.
No, because it's just an argumentative subject that has nothing to do with what's happening.
Well, if there's an egregious violation of your rights and
there's nothing in the first video that is egregious violation of my rights. It's all in the second video.
Right. And then it's all down to the subject of were you under the influence? Should you have given the driver license over?
See, there it is. Driver's license has nothing to do with what's happening.
Yeah, but they don't have to charge you with every crime that they may think, and they.
Because I think of a crime, they can charge me with it. Is that what they're thinking?
No. They've charged you with the crimes that they believe they will get a conviction on, haven't they? Now.
Yeah, that they believe they'll get a conviction on, not because I committed a crime.
You're assuming.
You guys are absolutely right. I appreciate it.
You're assuming that. I think you're assuming that you'll be found guilty.
Me?
Yes.
Not in a legitimate court, I won't.
No, but you in this court, you believe.
Oh, of course, in this court.
It's a kangaroo court, and you'll be found guilty.
Definitely.
I would probably argue that you'd have probably been better represented if you had continued with your legal advisor. However, And I want to sort of draw to a conclusion because we have been 2 hours. And
Okay.
if we want to continue, I don't know if I know we haven't looked at the judge's order, but we know it was denied. We got to the conclusion.
Oh yeah, he agreed with his
Yeah.
the lady that runs the court. Actually, she is a
Uh-huh.
former district judge, and she's actually the one who pretty much runs that court. The judge
So
does nothing until she looks at him and gives him the eye, like yes or no.
I think
It's really kind of funny to watch.
from a community point, and this I call it a community, the people in the chat, but they come from different. They're not all on one side. Yeah, I know that there are people from both sides that will be looking at this. What's Faux Chisel just said?
Hmm.
Would
Oh yeah,
Deboraugh,
and so will the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma and all of their people who have power. They'll be looking at it as well.
why did you just
But
go
of course,
lower?
they all know my opinion.
Is the volume all right for Deboraugh? Because it just went low
I'm
for
sorry.
me.
I'm getting a call. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Now go ahead. Oh gosh, I answered. Sorry.
That's all right. You okay?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
I can't hear you.
Maybe
I
that's
don't know what I did.
you might have to
I can't
leave.
hear you. I when I answered the phone accidentally.
I'll.
Oh, it's because I'm on the phone. I'm in a call.
We can hear you. I don't know whether she'll be back or not. I don't know. We'll wait and see. I apologise for the length of this stream. I specifically wanted to let Deboraugh tell her story. I would suggest that I'm not. Is she using this as a ploy to get out of a conviction? Because I think she knows she's going to be convicted. I mean, we all know that she's not going to have success in overturning the Cherokee Nation. Or, I mean, it's as likely as probably me seeing a pig flying outside. I really don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand the delete law's involvement apart from just raising a bit of money for her. She said that he assisted her in the process. Well, what does that mean? The process of filing a motion? There's got to be more. She just didn't want to drop him. And I mean, it sounds like she doesn't know Bobby Laws. So it sounds like Bobby Laws hasn't been involved at all. But it wouldn't surprise me if Chile didn't read over the motions and give some advice there. Wouldn't surprise me. Chile, you can come sue me if you want to. I'd appreciate that. Look forward to receiving my suit. I mean, you're doing enough for everyone else, so please send one my way. She hasn't arrived back. I don't know. I think I'm gonna call it a day. We almost concluded anyway. I was about to conclude. It's been long. I appreciate Juan coming up. I'm sorry that she didn't want him to stay the whole thing. I think Juan was he would have been helpful for me at some points. So I'm very grateful for Juan coming up. I just don't know. Is she mad? I don't know. There's something. There's obviously a chip on the shoulder of her particular tribe, but is that a chip that she just has as opposed to the tribe? Because I haven't seen the tribe supporting this. I'd have more sort of thoughts that she might have some success at some point if the tribe was supporting her, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. From the evidence of her motions, well, we know they're all going to be denied, and she's basically admitted that she's going to be found guilty in court. She knows that the police officers are going to state they believe that she was under the influence. I don't know we don't know the evidence if any blood tests were taken or whatever. I've no idea. I think there's been something said that she was released from the hospital the day before, and she may well have been advised not to drive, which won't help her in the slightest. But I wasn't going to go too much into the criminal case, because I really am of the opinion that you shouldn't talk about your criminal case, especially as she's who's distorted? Oh, she's distorted on narcotics. Yeah, it's easy to be nasty about people. Did she think of this as a ruse to try and get out of the prosecution? Possibly. But it's going to be, I mean, it's an impossible fight, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought. Surgery the day or the day before. And it all depends on, you know, I could say I had a colonoscopy under nitrous oxide, and or something like that, a procedure under nitrous oxide, and I'd be fine to drive within half an hour of said procedure. But sorry to mention a colonoscopy. I don't know why I went there. Just another Karen on the warpath. Yeah, the day before. That's what I thought. The day before, I didn't prepare for the stream. She was in my comments, saying let's have a debate. Now I don't know what I was going to debate her on, because I can't debate in detail the origination of the Cherokee Nations and its sub-tribes. But I just wanted to talk, give her the opportunity to talk without Chile. I don't think Chile's helped her at all. I don't think she's helped herself. She's probably going to end up with the severest penalty that the court can throw at her. Yeah, Rebecca. I'm sorry, I am reading the chats now. If I miss chats throughout the stream, I was going between yeah, Chile made his dollar and move on. Yeah, you see, we don't know how many dollars Chile made off of her. We don't know if he's ripped her off. We just don't know. It's an interesting case, I think. Whether it's 2 hours 12 minutes of interest, is that's I mean, I've not got the real delete laws in here. Surely that's my troll delete laws. If delete laws wanted to debate, I would ask probably Merbeast or Wangolt to debate Chile. If he's going to come up and debate properly with someone, then they would be the people, not me. I'll just keep on making a fool of you, Chile. She had no valid driver's license to begin with. So full stop's it. Good afternoon, the Frog. Southside Slacker, hello. We're just winding up, really, Southside. No debate, just yelling and threats. Did she yell? I don't know. One goal owes you money for a trifold. What, those destructible ones? Thank you, Susie. I'm gonna wind it up now, because I need to go and get a drink or something after that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again. Goodbye, everybody. She can donate her binders to schools. Yes, Shiz. I should call you Shiz. See, that's where I didn't want to go into the criminal side, really. Whether or not she did or didn't have a license. That's for her criminal case. I'm glad that she did say that she felt she was under the jurisdiction of someone, because I wasn't even sure that she would say that. So she's not arguing, but I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Never made sense to me from the start. She's relying on a Supreme Court decision, which has been pared back by the Supreme Court itself. She isn't going to get anywhere. Sorry, I'm having a monologue now. I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Good evening from the UK.